while seeing a game cancelled is always lamentable, it's perhaps worse when a new instalment of a series you love gets the chop. While many original games in development never even see the light of day, the plug has been pulled on plenty of high-profile sequels due to a myriad of reasons. Some of them would be quietly cancelled, with only committed followers knowing of their existence, with minimal information available on their development. Others have seen high-profile coverage and even controversy. While sometimes a sad subject to cover, it's time to take a look at some of the best examples of cancelled video game sequels, and we'll start with a sequel to a movie tie-in. In 2002, the release of a horror adventure would prove a surprise hit. Improbably, as it was based on an 80s movie. The Thing would take life as a third-person shooter, with plenty of horror in tow and a unique system which sees NPCs fearing or trusting you, as the infection could take over and leave you unprepared for an attack. The game was a critical success, and would also sell over 1 million copies across all platforms. While no sequel has come of it since, that was not the intention of developer Computer Artworks, who looked to strike while the iron was hot. Unfortunately, the game would be cancelled when Computer Artworks went into receivership in late 2003. All that would surface from the game is concept art and some disgusting info from Diarmid Campbell, who described a burst out where the player would split in half and their top half would jump to the ceiling and start swinging around like an orangutan with his intestines turned into tentacles. Gross. Keeping with cult sci-fi, Alien Crucible was to be another entry in the Aliens game universe. An RPG from genre experts Obsidian, Sega would announce the project in late 2006, but by 2009 it would be cancelled. Supposedly, Obsidian could not convince Sega execs that an RPG would work with the Alien license. And while we can't know if that is true, the game had some tremendous ideas. Characters' deaths were permanent, and facehugger encounters would allow players to either put characters on ice and only wake them to use their skills, mercy kill them, or just let the chest burst happen, like an absolute sadist. Other aspects, like limited resources, would keep the horror firmly intact, and hope to expand on the link between xenomorphs and engineers, not unlike the film Prometheus. One also has to wonder if the troubled development of Colonial Marines also impacted Sega's choice to cancel the game, but positively, the engine would serve as the foundation for South Park Stick of Truth, which while having its own development issues, would release in 2014. Ubisoft would begin work on a new Rainbow Six title named Patriots in 2011, after the threat of a leak forced them to reveal it early. It seemed to follow in the footsteps of previous titles, going more towards the bombast of Vegas and covering domestic terrorism in the US. This caused controversy in its own right, but the game would receive little update until its cancellation and transformation into Siege. Supposedly, the game suffered from constant shuffling from Ubisoft, with the game missing deadlines and targets, and along with the impending arrival of next-generation consoles, as well as a newer focus on destructible environments, the developer felt their new systems didn't mesh with the old-gen game. It certainly sounded intriguing, but with the huge success of the multiplayer-focused Siege, perhaps this cancellation worked out better. Another shooter, but one which is a spin-off this time. XCOM Alliance was intended to take the strategy series into the first person, putting you in the role of a soldier of the XCOM squad to fight aliens. The game started life at Microprose, following on from Terror of the Deep and implementing both strategy and RPG elements too. Unfortunately, the game suffered from tumultuous outside issues. As Hasbro closed the Chipping Sodbury office, it moved to the Hunt Valley studio and continued in earnest. But after a lead programmer supposedly left the project, it fell into disarray and would be cancelled in 2001, after development seemingly lost its footing. XCOM would see a third-person shooter known as Enforcer in 2001, and the Bureau in 2013 once the series was rebooted, but see no FPS as of 2019, though of course it could still happen. Here's an odd one. In September 2010, Mega Man Legends 3 would be announced for the 3DS, marking the newest installment in a decade. Capcom would involve fans heavily too, setting up a dev room in both Japan and the US to contribute and watch the game's development. In Japan, a 10-mission prototype version was set for release, which Capcom even remarked could see the main game cancelled if it was unsuccessful. But after being delayed, the prototype was left unreleased. Mega Man Legends 3 would be cancelled in 2011, citing it did not meet the required criteria for Capcom. With this and Mega Man Universe both being cancelled in close proximity, fans of the Blue Bomber would grow frustrated, with somewhat flimsy counter-arguments provided from Capcom's different branches. A campaign titled 100,000 Strong for Mega Man Legends 3 would meet its target, but alas, the game has remained cancelled since, and with the 3DS now seemingly put to pasture, it's unlikely to return. Hideo Kojima's cult mech series, Zone of the Enders, was rumoured to be receiving a third game after being discussed at an event previewing the HD collection for 360 and PS3. Kojima tweeted several aspects of this proposed new game, including possibly using either a Japanese anime or real-world, live-action style, but not much else is known beyond this. Zone of the Enders HD collection was notoriously botched, with both games appearing to have somehow degraded in performance despite featuring on more powerful consoles. The game, consequently, didn't perform well. This, as well as the series being relatively fringe interest, left Kojima to announce that the game had been cancelled. Kojima is no longer with Konami, which will be discussed shortly, but a recent remaster of the second game on PS4 could mean a new installment isn't impossible. But it's also Konami. Speaking of cancelled Konami sequels, Silent Hills may be the most infamous cancelled sequel of recent memory. Starting with the Genius PT demo in 2014, its end would reveal it as a new installment in the horror series, with Kojima, Guillermo del Toro and Norman Reedus collaborating. But by April 2015, the game would be cancelled by Konami, due to the departure of Kojima from the long-standing publisher, as well as the company undergoing a major restructure. After the completion of Metal Gear Solid 5, all references and listings for Kojima and his studio were wiped from the promo materials. PT was also permanently pulled from the PSN, meaning those who didn't have it installed would be unable to play it, hilariously skyrocketing prices of PS4s that contained the said demo. Konami would undergo a dramatic restructuring, shifting focus away from video gaming and towards pachinko machines, with the decision and execution of this being derided by game journalists and fans alike. While a bevy of collections perhaps signals some tentative interest in game development again, many wait with bated breath for Konami to revisit some of their iconic, and now largely abandoned, series. And on that note, we'll end things there. I hope you had fun exploring these cancelled sequels with me. And if you liked it, why not check out my video on cancelled Dreamcast games? Don't forget to like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more, and check out some of my other reviews, opinion pieces, and discussions on games both old and new.